Chapter 2. My eye was caught by a curl of smoke from my pipe. Slowly it rose, twisting and stretching towards the stifling ceiling. Somehow, the din of the crowd was muffled for a moment as I watched transfixed. Not too transfixed that I didn't notice the 3 veteran fighters warily come in though. After all, I'm a thief, not a poet. They moved slowly to the bar, constantly scanning the room. I wouldn't say they were exactly nervous. After all, they wore their swords with accustomed ease, but they were certainly watchful, and they kept dipping their hands towards their purses to make sure they were still there. I suppose that might make sense, since the Gem's Heart was owned and operated by the Thieves Guild, but none of us would steal from a potential client in the Heart. Bad for business and not professional. So these guys must be first-time clients. Not very rich looking, but definitely tough. Not my kind of customers. I nursed my ale and turned my gaze back to the soot-soaked ceiling. I wasn't exactly hurting for a job. I had a pretty decent chunk of gold on deposit in the guild coffers, which would last a while yet. But I was bored. It had been a while since I'd tried something challenging. My specialty was stealth burglary, and those kinds of commissions didn't come around too often. I suppose I could try an independent job, but it never seemed worth the effort to just steal something. No, a commission indicated that someone needed to have a particular something that wasn't in their possession. It wasn't just about getting rich. It was always about something else. Revenge, spite, hatred, envy were just the start of the motives. The clients interested me almost as much as the jobs. Maybe I was a bit of a poet. I saw Sharky move towards my table and discreetly hand sign in the cant. I nodded and signed back. Sharky was a good kid making his way up through the ranks, handling the smaller referrals for the masters. He had just told me that the 3 fighters I had noticed were looking to get a specific job done. They weren't being very forthcoming, so Sharky didn't know what it was about other than burglary. He gave me right of first refusal, so I said, what the hell? Maybe these guys had an interesting story. Like I said, I was bored. I began sizing up the 3 as they walked towards my table. The shorter one was jumpy and always looking around, like he was expecting trouble. The next had eyes that were completely devoid of any human compassion whatsoever. He had an economy of movement bespeaking deadly effectiveness in a fight. He was certainly one to keep an eye on, but the third was possibly the most dangerous. His eyes weren't empty like his companions, but they were intently focused on his purpose in an arresting squint. My name is Clintan, he said, as he pulled up a chair to sit down. What brings you fine gentlemen to Lorrivar? I asked. How do you know we've traveled? Demanded the short one, rising out of his chair. Clintan swung his squint over to rest on the short one. Presently he sat back, quiet but fuming. We're looking to get a job done. Someone has something we want, and we'd like you to acquire it for us, answered Clintan. 3 big, strong men like yourselves? Why don't you just take what you want? The job we need done calls for discretion, said Empty Eyes. Discretion and stealth, added Clintan. It would be better to steal what we want from the individuals than confront them directly. Individuals? How many are we talking about? The 3 shared a glance, then Empty Eyes answered, 2. Well, maybe I'm missing something, but if there's only 2, and there's 3 of you, what exactly is the problem? How much stealth and discretion do you need? Again, the 3 shared a glance. The problem, Clintan eventually replied, is that they are wizards. Ah, damn, wizards. I should have got up right then and there, but my curiosity kept me in my seat. What in the world could 3 such as these want from any wizard, let alone 2? I wondered how much they were willing to pay. Damn. Go on. Is there anywhere we can talk more privately? Asked Empty Eyes. If it's guild business, this is as private as it gets. Besides, there is no better or safer place in Lorrivar, at least for me, to have this discussion. Yet again, the three shared a glance, then whispered amongst themselves. After a pause, Clintan said, "Swell. Okay, well, let's hear the particulars." "The two look like normal travelers," Clintan began, "and at the moment they are lodged at an inn in the harbor district. We believe they keep the object in their possession at all times." "Object?" "Yes, the object we want you to obtain is a small obsidian statue of a raven, about 4 inches at its longest and weighing a few ounces." "Magical?" "Definitely." "Well, just out of curiosity, why would 3 fighting men want a magical raven statue?" "None of your business," hissed Eli. "Can you get it or not?" "I don't know. Tell me more. Does it need special handling? Does the magic activate on touch? Does it have protective wards?" "It is harmless to touch and carry," Empty Eyes said. "Its magic can only be invoked by a wizard. It's more like a tool they use." "They?" "Wizards. Like the one or ones who have hired you to get it?" "He knows too much," spouted Eli, standing up. But Empty Eyes fixed him with a stare. "Sit down, you idiot. You're drawing attention." "You shut up, Levan. You don't order Eli around." Levan continued to stare, and slowly Eli sat back down, mumbling to himself. "I don't really think the eventual disposition of the raven concerns you, do you?" Clintan asked, turning that squint directly on me. "I suppose not, but the more I know, the better this will work. For example, now I don't just have the word of a swordsman that the statue is harmless. I have the word of a swordsman that a wizard told him that the statue is harmless. So much better." "Do wizards and magic scare you?" asked Levan, grinning slightly. "Absolutely," I replied. "That's why this is going to cost. But tell me more about the two. Where do you think they keep the raven? What are their habits? Do they ever leave it in the room? Also, how powerful are they?" "As I said, the raven will never leave their possession," stated Clintan. "You will have to be in their presence and procure the raven without them knowing. I presume you will want to do this while they are asleep at night. Even wizards need to sleep." "What about picking their pocket?" "We don't know exactly how the raven will be secreted on their persons, so you will need time to find it, time a pickpocket wouldn't have." "How about overpowering them when they are out and dragging them into an alley?" This time Levan answered. "As I said, this job calls for discretion. In any case, even with the element of surprise, it is doubtful that all 4 of us together could overpower them. To answer your question, they are very powerful wizards indeed, and they will be well protected." I slowly whistled. "Well, you guys don't ask for much. When do you need this done?" "Ideally tonight," said Clintan, "but we realize that may be impractical. Tomorrow night will suffice." "Well, thanks. I appreciate all the extra time. Why the rush?" "Because they will be leaving town soon. They're only here to rest and reprovision. They seem to be traveling east, probably to Bosconia." "Damn. So you want me to steal a magic raven statue from a couple of wizards in the middle of the night who keep the damn thing on them at all times? Not to mention that these guys are powerful and magically protected to boot." "One of them's actually a woman," Clintan said. "Oh man, even better. Nothing like a vengeful witch coming to look for her stolen property." "All right, I'll need to do some prep tonight, including scouting out the inn where they're staying. It would help if you could take me there, and maybe we'll get a chance for you to point them out. In any case, this will cost 2,000 gold pieces, half up front tonight." Eli sputtered, but Levan and Clintan just shared a quick glance. 1,000 gold pieces, countered Levan. "I know there's usually haggling, but this job is different. I'm going to have to buy some magic myself to pull this off, and let's all agree that this is very risky, otherwise you'd be doing it yourself. My price is firm at 2,000 gold pieces. Take it or leave it." Clintan looked around as if shopping for another burglar. Thing is, Sharky hadn't brought them to me by accident. I was pretty good at this kind of thing, even with the extra danger of magic. They really couldn't do any better, at least not on short notice. I glanced at Levan again, who nodded his head. Clintan said, "Agreed." "Fine," I said. "Make arrangements with Sharky to deposit your advance with the guild under the account of Shade, my name. After that, we'll go take a look at this inn." I swallowed the rest of my ale. That was enough of that tonight. Going to be busy from now on in. The three got up with Levan and Eli heading for the door, and Clintan finding Sharky. He spoke quietly to Sharky, who then took him back behind the bar. He re-emerged a few minutes later and nodded at me to follow him out. I got up, but saw Sharky coming over to me. "What's wrong? Isn't their deposit good?" I asked. Sharky lifted an eyebrow and replied, "Oh, it's good, all right. Better than good. That man was carrying a certified draft drawn on the Mercantile Bank of Bosconia. No associated name, but embossed with the seal of the Chancellor of the Quorum. Whoever is paying for your services is a high roller indeed." Damn. With that much money, which is to say power, at his fingertips, why would this high roller need these three to track down a statue? And then, why would they need a thief like me to try and steal it? "Be careful with this one, Shade," Sharky said. No kidding. Patting him on the arm, I donned my coat and hat and departed into the damp night.